Hey there, welcome to the GSPN Winning Six / Eurostep first post game episode of the playoffs. Super exciting. Less exciting, the Bucks lost 130-117 to the Miami Heat in Milwaukee. According to Kevin Harlan, basically a crypt atmosphere, not to be confused with where the Lakers play. In Fiserv, somewhat understandably so, as Giannis Antetokounmpo leaves the game after Kevin, unethical basketball love, slides under him for an offensive foul in the first quarter, right?
Second.
Yeah. Was it the second? It happened in the first, but he left in the second? Was that it?
It
all happened in the
that,
second?
That sounds right, actually.
Let me look at the play-by-play over here.
I didn't do my research. I watched the game. I'm downtrodden. I'm Ty Windisch, joined by, as you heard, the dulcet tones of both Rohan Katti and Jordan Treske. Fellas, every time we do one of these, I have to ask. I think I know the answer. How's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. Amazing. No, of course not.
No.
Nah, it's just, it's not fun. It's not fun not knowing exactly what's going on with Giannis. No official update. Who knows? We might end up reacting live to something. But,
I was going to say, I think we should maybe compartmentalize the Giannis combo, at least the longer term part of it, until later. We should hear something from the Bucks, I am guessing.
Just got it right now from Eric Name.
Okay, never mind.
Bucks coach Mike Budenholzer tells reporters that Giannis Antetokounmpo has a back contusion and that his x-rays were, quote-unquote, clear.
Okay.
That's good. That's good. So no like fracture or anything. That's very good news.
Giannis has... go ahead. No.
Buck continued by saying he wasn't moving. This is from Gabe Stoltz. Buck continued by saying he wasn't moving, didn't look comfortable or confident, and that he felt pulling him felt like the right thing.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Giannis has said, remember when he said he's old and weird? The old part of that means if you hurt your back, it can just suck for a while. Hurting your back sucks. The x-ray part is good news, but the time off between games is also good news. So game 2 is Wednesday, and game 3 is Saturday, so there will be some more rehab time for Giannis. I guess let's just do the Giannis combo now, because it really is the most important thing. The only reason I figured we might want to wait is because who knew when the word would come in. But obviously, as much as we did a playback for this game, really appreciate everyone who came out. We made the best of it. I'll say that. We made the best of the playback, as we always do. Always a good time. Join the Discord. Don't miss a playback. gspn.info. Find all the stuff there. We talked about, could they maybe get through the series without Giannis against Miami? Sure, they could. As we'll get to when we take a talk about this game, it's a double variance three-point shooting game, still relatively close down to the end. The Heat win by 13. It was double digits within the last couple minutes, a couple different times, though. Milwaukee just could not get enough combination of stops and threes because they really couldn't get any threes in the game. But, of course, if Giannis is out for the postseason, it doesn't really matter, right? Nothing really. They're not gonna win a title without him. And if not, that's what we're here for. Just being honest, getting to the second round would be great. But if he's not gonna come back, it doesn't matter. Sounds like that is a very extreme view of this all. Again, we don't know a whole lot yet. It sounds like he just has a hurt back. I will, as I always do, throw to Rohan for a more enlightened take on anything close to an injury. I think you chimed in right away on the X-ray news, Rohan. What are your full thoughts on Giannis's condition here post game 1?
Well, if they say it's clean, there's no like I mentioned, there's no fractures, no breaks, which is obviously good because that's worst case scenario. That's like you're done for months on that, and you probably need surgery. So that's good. That is fantastic news. Likely, it's probably just going to end up being pain management.
It's like stiffness.
Yeah, it's going to be like discomfort, and how much you have to manage playing like that.
Yeah.
Like, can he manage playing like that? That's what it's going to come down to. Because I can't speak to how much pain he's in and how much he can tolerate. Because he clearly tried to come back in and play. He did.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't. So we'll see if that's we'll see what happens. Thankfully, there's 2 days rest between games 1 and game 2. So we'll see how he feels going forward, but I think it's honestly going to come down to that, like pain management. How much can you play with this much discomfort?
Jordan, your thought? Yeah, go ahead.
it's not even just his back too. I mean, he's dealt with knee injury that's always going to be, or knee discomfort, stiffness, everything like that. He's a 7-foot guy, and he plays a very brutish game. He's highly into bodies, whether they're charges or crowds or whatever it is, and it's a lot of wear and tear. And he, in spite of all the things that, whether it's just missing games or this is the second Heat game this year where he's tried to come back from an injury and had to get pulled the second time. We know Giannis has a very high pain tolerance, and the Bucks know that all their fortunes are tied to number 34. And you can't be irresponsible or anything like that. And I know Giannis can easily be like, well, I'm just going to play. This is what we built for, this is our season, all that stuff. But it's just a bigger picture of like, this guy is carrying a lot of knocks and bruises and discomfort, swelling, whatever it is. On top of that, with the hand stuff, or wrist, I should say. It's, it's encouraging to see that it's not as bad as it could be right now, but this is game 1 of the first round, and hopefully we have a lot of Bucks playoff basketball going on. I just think we're not, it's not like that we aren't used to Giannis carrying all these different things, but it just feels like a Jenga tower. You know what I mean? You pull one out and it's like, okay, that's good. And then another time, it's like, it's like, how many times until this like tower falls? Not to like be very fatalistic, but I don't know. It's hard not to get that way when you see Giannis struggling as much as he has.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we just have to hope that he's going to be able to get back soon, potentially by the next game. We just don't know right now. We just don't know much. We probably won't know conclusively until the day before, I would guess. I mean, I think the reporters on the beat will get some updates around practices and everything, but I would guess the Bucks are going to be relatively close to the vest with the info in this, as they always are. Right now, of course, it's just too early to say, but hopefully the 2 days off and probably a lot of rest and ice for Giannis on that back will help, and he'll be feeling better soon. The rest of the game without Giannis, I will say.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oof. Let's start with a positive, because I think the Buck injury concern that we were all worried about going in, everyone was worried about going in, was Khris Middleton. I was almost said uncharacteristic. I mean, we all know Khris. They're not really. Some turnovers Khris had, sure. Some ill-advised passes, a couple dangerous dribbles, but outside of that stuff, Khris 12 for 60 from the field, despite being 2 for 7 from deep. Nobody shot the ball well. We'll get to that. Drew 10 free throws, most on the team by a lot. Made 7 of them. Had 9 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought looked really good. 33 points. Led the Bucks in scoring again by quite a lot. Bobby Portis was second with 21. And played 33 minutes, which was third on the team behind only Brook Lopez and Jrue Holiday. At least Khris looked really good. I mean, if there's a silver lining from this game, I think that's probably number 1, is that Khris looked like the dynamic offensive option that we're used to seeing, even without Giannis's impact kind of pulling defenses away from him. So at least we had that. Khris shooting 60% from the field, 9 rebounds, 4 assists in this game. And really, a lot of the reason the whole reason the Bucks had any chance at all was Khris being an offensive weapon all night long.
Yeah, it's more than we could have expected to see from Khris Middleton coming back. Especially like you mentioned, just up in the air, his status, like all leading up to it. And it's just like, okay, Khris Middleton, can you come out here and be that? It was incredible to watch. You're right. We should start with the positives, because that was very, very positive. He was way, way better than I expected. I expected him to come back with a little bit of rust and not necessarily like ready to be like, assuming Giannis stays in that game, I was like, is he ready to be a second option potentially? It's like, no, he was forced to be a first option in this game, and he took that challenge head on, and he delivered. So Khris was fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Khris, even though like it didn't, like the Bucks lost the game. It's very, very promising and encouraging to see that Khris was able to come back and score. His passing was also like really sharp. Like he had some creative angles that he was trying to sort of exploit when I thought it was good. Sometimes it went well, sometimes it went badly, but he's seeing the floor well. It's just, you couldn't have asked for more from Khris Middleton out there, given all that he's been through recently.
Second highest amount of points Khris has had this season. Not nothing.
Oh, good pull.
Also, the highest minutes he's played in a game this year has been 33-48. Not nothing. That matches both. So yeah, I mean, considering the kind of things that we're talking about before the game or just throughout the week, and his own comments with Eric Name, I believe had him in full about, he felt it was a re-aggravation of something, even if it was very slight. So my expectations were not very high for him. I just felt like, you kind of felt, do you start him? Like, well, how are they going to do this? That it was a fair question to ask, considering just how they've used him since coming back the second time, or even the first time too. But yeah, putting in a performance like this, it's vintage Khris, really carry them. You can't say enough good things about him just because the last couple of weeks and just how the season has gone for him. You never know if we're going to see consistency from Khris or just, what's going on fully with his body and his knee and all that stuff. But the fact that he turns in a performance like this when the Bucks really needed it and it kept him in the game as much as they were, trying to come back from a hole that was too insurmountable in the end. Very encouraging, super encouraging.
I want to shout out Drew Holiday, who did not have a good game shooting the ball. He was 6 for 18. 16 points, 16 assists for Drew, and 1 turnover. And it's like, okay, the shooting could certainly be better, no question. Took 9 threes and made 2. That's kind of a common Drew thing. I think one.
Not great.
I'm going to give the Bucks offense schematically in general and individual players some slack though, because we know they do like to play random. That's something organizationally they go for. I know Jordan, you and Adam dove deep on Eric Name's great article into the user to loser timeouts from Bud and covered some more coaching stuff in there as well. And losing Giannis early in a game when you're not a heavy play call team in the first place just makes it really hard to have sustainable good offense, I think, for a whole game. And I would imagine if they do have to go without Giannis in game 2, they'll have more stuff ready. They probably just don't practice a whole lot of, hey, here's our game plan for 40 straight minutes of no Giannis, because that's a bad plan. That's not a good plan to go to unless you have to, and they did.
Bud's scheming that up, and Giannis is like, hey, yo, what's going on here?
Whoa. I don't know about this one, coach. Giannis wouldn't.
Why are you thinking of this, coach?
Do you guys know, I forget who the coach was, but Peyton Manning's coach, they asked him why the backup quarterback doesn't get any snaps in practice.
Oh, man. It wasn't Dungy, was it?
No, I think it was somebody else. It might have been an assistant coach. But
yeah.
He said, we don't practice fucked. And if Peyton goes down, we're fucked. And that pretty much played out. I mean, that was...
I've never heard that one before,
folks.
Yeah, they were like, why isn't Curtis Painter getting any throws? It's like, come on, dude. Like, why do you think? The Bucks hopefully aren't totally fucked.
Is Curtis Painter a real guy?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Former Colts backup quarterback.
Purdue.
Oh, I thought you just made that up.
Oh.
Big football guy. Listen to Cruising for a Bruising. Or no, listen to Talking to Thunder. It's baseball season. I'm used to cruising, talking. Yeah, oh my God. I'm just going to move on.
Big football guy. Go listen to our baseball podcast. I mean, obviously do that, but also listen to Talking to Thunder. Draft coming up soon, right, Jordan?
That was amazing.
Hopefully the Packers have a slam dunk in their draft.
I hope they draft Curtis Painter. He's like 45.
Might hit a home run.
It's power play.
Gordie Howe.
Hockey is where I can no longer do the references.
Yeah,
there we go.
But yeah, you're not gonna be prepared for playing 40 minutes of no Giannis, 48 minutes of no Giannis.
Yeah.
So let's hope that's not the case for game 2. Let's hope and pray that he can be good to go for game 2. But it's just, honestly, it's going to be a wait and see game at this point.
Real quick on Drew.
Yes.
I asked about it on playback. I looked it up. I will say the Twitter account pisses people off. The actual StatMuse website is very helpful.
It is.
4 different times in Milwaukee Bucks history, a player has had 16 assists or more in a playoff game. Do you guys want to guess who the players were? A little bit of levity in this otherwise disappointing
I'm
podcast.
not gonna say Oscar.
You should.
Okay, I'm gonna say Oscar.
Oscar is one of them. It's 74. Late Bucks Oscar. This is his last playoffs?
Last year.
Yeah, did it. 16 assist game, April 2, 74. One other player had the other 2 occurrences.
Eric Bledsoe.
No. We would remember that.
Sydney?
Nope. Right team.
You say Delhi?
No, he
Oh,
said Sydney.
Pressey.
Oh,
Pressey
It's
did it
like Delhi.
once in 85, once in 86. And it was all actually 16 square. So Drew tied the Bucks playoff record tonight with 16 assists. No one has had 17 or more. So the playmaking really did stand out. In a game where they needed offense, Drew being able to penetrate and open up shots did make a difference. He might have had 20 if they could hit threes, and he would have the record by now.
Right.
So I do think, I said we'll start with the positives first. We'll get to the more disappointing stuff. I do think largely outside of a couple bench players' performances, I don't think there's that much long-term dispiriting stuff. Giannis injury aside, of course, because that's death if that happened. I mean, it's the Peyton Manning backup quote all over. But, I don't know. I mean, I think the primaries didn't play horrible. Brook didn't play great. We'll have to talk about that in a second here. But, I mean, the shooting goes a little bit both ways, and it's a close game even with Giannis going out. I don't think it's playoffs are done, Bucks aren't good enough takeaway game for me. I think a lot of things went wrong, sort of reminiscent of Celtics game, but not as bad, and the Heat just aren't as good as that. Plus, you get the Giannis injury folded in there, which obviously is going to take everyone's sorrow to the next level, understandably so.
yeah. It's just there's a lot to play in here. It's like I'm so torn between going full doom and gloom and not, because it's like
I'm
you
not
mentioned.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you mentioned, there's positive things to take away, and there's things that you see in this game. Jordan's waiting for me to go on a rant. I'm not.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's going. I know it's right.
Ever since the delayed fuse in the Celtics postgame, I'm not going to feel safe until I hit stop recording.
Might come after that.
That's fine.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
But it's there. I'm just torn right now, because there was a lot that went wrong in this game, but it's hard not to think about what could have gone right. And to be clear, I still do think the Bucks can win the series. I think they can win the series in 5.
Yeah, I mean, if Giannis comes back, for sure.
Yeah, if Giannis comes back, they can absolutely win the series in 5. Like, they had opportunities to win this game.
Yeah.
Like, for all that we talk about, all like the shooting variance that you mentioned, double shooting variance.
I don't know if I've read it yet. Real quick, 60% for Miami, 24.4% for the Bucks. Like dire, strong both ways.
I believe I
Yeah,
saw
it's just
the
horrendous.
8th team in playoff history to shoot 60% or higher from 3 on 25 attempts.
Is it just like Katie Warriors, Katie Warriors, Katie Warriors, Katie Warriors, Heat, Katie Warriors?
Maybe a Cavs like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's probably a couple 17, 18 or 16, 17 Cavs teams in there for sure. That's a good call.
Speaking of KD, the Suns are down 12 right now.
That's fun.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Fun playoffs. A lot of upsets. You gotta love it.
Yeah, let's get a Clippers win here to get some heat off the Bucks.
I got another. Do you want another stat?
Yeah.
Of course, I love stats.
Zach Cram from The Ringer. The Heat outshot the Bucks by 36 percentage points on threes in Game 1. That is the 3rd biggest margin in any game in playoff history. Teams are now 39-0 in the playoffs when they win the three-point battle by 25% or more.
But that's what I mean. It's a historically bad disparity, and it was a 13-point game, and it was single digits multiple times. In the fourth quarter.
They had a chance to cut it to a 1-possession game.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's definitely a bounce back. This is how you would draw it up if you're like, oh, a team takes a game. I mean, we talked about when you got so pissed at us. Oh yeah, a team gets hot once. Any team can win a game.
Hey, listen, I didn't predict the Giannis injury.
No one.
We're not saying that. We're talking about this. We're talking about this, Rohan.
And in fairness to the Giannis thing, obviously they need him, for everything. He's everything. They played bad with him too. I mean, they were down when he exited. It was just the game was not going well. I mean, did they win if he plays? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, it was a 60% to 24% shooting disparity, but it was a bad game before that. What do you guys want to talk about? What stood out to you guys? That we haven't covered so far from watching this game? Bobby, great one.
I know 0 for 5 from 3. His shot was really flat.
Ugly ones, yeah.
Ugly. But again, really made a lot of work in the first half when the Bucks were. I mean, that was when they were at their lowest, especially around Giannis exiting the game. Really brought some energy. Hit it on like the floater push shot attempts. Was the best big in the game for the Bucks, obviously, with Giannis exiting early and Brooks really struggling to kind of make any kind of imprint on both ends of the floor. Yeah, I did not really like his little shoving with Caleb and
yeah, you got the Caleb Martin. It was the who actually fouled after the Caleb thing.
Yeah, and I thought, I mean, they played small with him too. His defense is what it is, and when you don't have Giannis to kind of fill in some gaps and make up some of the deficiencies that they would have, I thought Bobby did as good as he could have done in that regard. But
yeah, I didn't feel like he got picked on. It was more not having Brook and Giannis like everybody else then, and the other perimeter leaks really showed through.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bobby was not a guy who was targeted on defense or really exploited on defense. No, I thought he played well within the system, and he was one of the brightest spots for Milwaukee today.
9 for 11 from 2 in this game. 8 rebounds for Bobby, 21 points scored again. Second to only Khris. By the way, something else I just noticed. They actually won Khris's minutes by a point.
Wow.
That's a positive sign. That's a very positive sign.
In Khris's 33 minutes. Because I was looking, because Brooks, despite Brook, and I think probably get to him next, just didn't really seem to have it on both ends. He was 4 for 4 from 2. Problem is, why is he only taking 4 shots from 2 despite being bigger than like any 2 Heat players combined, basically? It was only still a -4. I honestly expected that number to be worse. And I'm not putting too much in a single game plus minus here, but I just thought Brook was like a little too slow to Bam mid-rangers, a little too slow to Jimmy takes. And Jimmy and Bam, give some credit to Miami as well. Obviously, we're Bucks focused. Jimmy played phenomenal. Bam was really bad early, but turned it on. Kevin Love had, one of those games that, he may not score this much the rest of the series combined and have as many good plays as he had in this one game. But Miami did play quite well. I mean, pretty much everyone. And the other injury news we should mention is Tyler Hero broke his hand. He's probably going to be out for the series, which is actually a huge loss for the Heat, honestly. They didn't, seem to suffer much in this game because they just did not choose to miss. But when things get gunked up, he has been one of their, if not their best, half-court shot maker. Again, they just really didn't need that because Jimmy did everything, and again, everyone hit all their jumpers. But that is going to be a significant loss for Miami. I think they're going to really feel that more than they did today in the rest of the games in this series. But
he shot the ball with a broken hand.
Yeah, they didn't take him out. They didn't call timeout to take him out. So he's out there. He's like doubled over in pain holding it. And they passed it to him, and he did shoot it. He missed it.
He walked off the court.
They put him back on. Yeah.
You have to stay back in.
And they had the ball. This wasn't just a Bucks defensive possession or a Bucks offensive possession. They had the ball. They could have called timeout.
Yeah.
Coaches get really... I remember the Wes Matthews game. I went to the Kings game in Fiserv like last year, I think. And he was clearly hurt, and they just left him in. And it's like, just use the timeout. Like, come on. Like, let's be people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's one of the things that bothers me a lot when that happens. Like, this guy, he broke his head. I feel so bad for him.
Was it like Jim Boylan? There was like a Bulls player a couple years ago, Jim Boylan, that he was like not going to sub him out, and it's like, why?
I think so.
The entire team, because he injured them all himself in practice.
That's true. You got to punch the clock. Punched by Jim Boylan.
I think somebody on the other team might have taken a foul in that game, if I remember right.
It was exactly. Season. I cannot remember.
And someone on the other team was like, dude, come on. Like, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the strangest ways I've seen that happen.
Feels bad for Tyler Hero. Honestly, that's terrible.
Milwaukee's own.
Yeah.
But it is a significant loss for Miami. I didn't even see clearly how he broke his hand.
He was diving for a ball behind Grayson Allen. It didn't look like he stepped on his hand or anything. I wonder if he just...
even maybe hit like Grayson's like foot.
Yeah, I wonder. He must have just hit it at the worst. And he's moving full speed. He must have just hit it at the worst possible angle. Unfortunate injury, pretty freak occurrence.
Well suited.
Yeah. Brook Lopez, I think we've kind of tiptoed around the big fella.
It's hard to tiptoe around a big fella, but apparently
the Heat did it.
The Heat did it. The Heat did it, and the Bucks did it too.
Yeah.
So they come out in this game
tiptoed around the tulips
with, was it Max Strus guarding Brook Lopez?
Yeah, I think early that was their first alignment.
And what do the Bucks decide to do? Use Brook Lopez as a floor spacer, someone who's just going to be out there and shoot threes. And it's like, do you guys know what the most efficient shot in basketball is?
Right at the rim.
Yeah.
No one between the ball and the cup. That seems pretty good.
This is what we talked about this time on our little mini preview. And we were afraid this would happen.
Don't listen to that. The downloads for that in Florida are going to shoot up early this week.
Yeah, I already have accounts with 0 followers tweeting at me about it. It's fine.
The mute this conversation button on Twitter is doing LeBron numbers for me right now. Leading both teams in all stat categories.
Yeah.
Can't laugh.
Brook Lopez was not being used. They were not exploiting that obvious mismatch that was going to occur when the Milwaukee Bucks, starting 2 bigs in Giannis and Brook, and the Miami Heat are starting a 75% of a big in Bam Adebayo, and no one else. Like Max Strus is your starting power forward, but the Bucks just choose not to use it, not to go at involve Brook in any actions, not bring him up. Let's have Brook set a screen so you can roll, get into some space, get easy post position. Nothing like that at all. And it was just baffling because we saw, like we mentioned earlier with Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis came into the game and immediately started abusing that matchup. Like when he had Tyler Hero on him, like he just went at him 4 straight possessions or 3 straight possessions or something because he was like, yeah, I have Tyler Hero guarding me. I'm going to go put the ball in the basket now. But the Bucks just didn't do that with Brook Lopez, and that it's just because Bobby did that. It's like, is it a Brook thing? Like, is it part of the gameplay? Like, is it just not? Was Bobby just taking initiative where Brook wasn't? It was just so baffling to see, and I want to know what happens going forward with that because it's sitting right there. It's free points.
Yeah, I mean, even Drew found ways to get down low, and I know he struggled shooting the ball, but he was taking advantage of mismatches with Gabe Vincent, or if he was, I don't know if it was Hero or someone else. I'm forgetting that he was
Strus, maybe.
Strus, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know. It was a tough one of like just how lost it was for him, and their interior. Like, it wasn't like they played great defensively without him either. That was the other thing. Is like you just lose that connector, and obviously, yes, Giannis looms over this discussion, but yeah, it was just kind of a baffling performance. I mean, the fact that they let up 62 paint points. I'm gonna say that their Bucks are letting up that many paint points. They're not going to win a lot of games if they are going to do that.
Yeah,
on top of the Heat hitting over 60% of their threes.
Yeah, I think that paint points. I mean, Brook's got to be a little bit better, but also it's the perimeter defenders have to be better, and that was a big reason that they scored that many. Let's burn through some of these rotational wings. We have a lot to talk about, and frankly, I don't want to spend an hour and a half talking about this ball game. Maybe game 2. Hopefully, who knows? Probably not. Though. I mean, it's game 2 of the first round. So anyway, Grayson Allen, I thought looked tough, not in a good way in the first half. Really bounced back nicely. Ends up shooting 5 for 7. Was the lone... Oh, no, 2 Bucks shot 50%. We'll talk about the other one in a second, too. From 3. 3 assists, 2 rebounds. I think 2 turnovers as well. But honestly, pretty good game from Grayson. I thought he was good in the second half in a big way. He got bullied a little bit in the first half. Really, the way he kept up with Tyler Hero wasn't good enough. And maybe that's why he had a better second half, because Tyler Hero was not in the game to do that anymore. Grayson's screen navigation is really not there. But when guys went at him one-on-one, I thought he held up pretty well. Overall, good game. I mean, he bounced back well. I'm glad that, after his last playoff experience, I think it would have been easy to get a little down after the way that started, but he hung in there and had a really strong second half.
He did. He really lived up to it. And unfortunately, I think the Tyler Hero injury did play a lot into that because, like you mentioned, he was chasing him around, and I think, Jordan, you highlighted this on our playback. He was dying on screens.
Could not do it, yeah.
No. The Heat were just running him through every screen they could find, and it was leading to forced switches, leading to mismatches. But he did have a good all-around game. He bounced back. And like I said, unfortunately, with Tyler Hero out, that might be a positive for Grayson.
Yeah. I thought his time on Jimmy was actually kind of encouraging. I would not recommend it often, but
he's a solid one-on-one defender. It's just when you have to have him running around and doing all this stuff, and it's just like being like physical in terms of like going through screens. That's where he struggles. But in terms of like one-on-one, he's not going to get cooked that often. Like he'll have his lapses, but he's a strong guy.
Yeah. And it's not surprising that Spo went to Duncan Robinson and pulled him out of mothballs. Yeah. And if you're, with that in mind, because for Hero, just to have a guy that goes through screens and stuff like that, it's testing the Bucks defense, it's testing Grayson. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's going to be the big question for the Heat going into game 2 of how they do that, because I don't know necessarily that Duncan Robinson is going to be the permanent solution for that reason, but
maybe it will be. Maybe more Strus, who knows? Again, they also had to adjust to a pretty significant injury mid-game.
Yep.
A guy who didn't play terrible, but I don't think played very well, Javon Carter, may end up being more important to the Bucks for the reason we just talked about. Because if Grayson can't do it, we don't know if Khris is going to be able to. This used to be Chris's role, the screen navigator, right? Like that was Chris's thing. He was very good at it. Just feels like you're asking a lot now for him to chase those guys, given the status of the knee and all that he's doing offensively at the moment. They're going to need more guys who can screen navigate better. And, you don't want to put Drew Holiday on your floor spacer because you're kind of wasting him. That just doesn't seem good enough. I could see maybe Javon playing a little bit more. He does end up with 22, nearly 23 minutes, which was second among bench players, only to Bobby. So he did end up playing as one of the top 7 in terms of the minutes distribution. 1 for 4 from the field. Really came down to just not hitting his 2 threes. So, 1 for 2 from 2. One of his Hero absolutely smoked a layup attempt. It was pretty wild to see. But I think Javon, the defensive impact was real. And again, not reading too much into this or saying it's the end-all be-all, he was the only player besides Khris where the Bucks did win his minutes. They went +3 in Javon's just under 23 minutes. So even without the shooting being there, they were still treading water, I should say, in those minutes. I think the defensive intensity was just different when he was out there. Miami was a lot less comfortable on offense.
Yep. Pressing.
West Virginia, baby.
One thing I pointed out on the playback real quick, I think Miami really scouted the press coverage. They didn't take the ball up against it at all. They would do sequential passes to get into their half court, which is a really smart thing to do, save some time and make sure there's no turnovers. But I wonder if the Bucks could look to maybe pick some of those or something, because it was every single time. I mean, they didn't even try it at all.
I mean, Spoelstra is one of the best in the business for a reason.
Yeah. Another update. Chris Haynes, a Bleacher Report. Miami guard Tyler Hero broke the middle and ring finger on his shooting hand. Expected to be out approximately 4 to 6 weeks.
Ooh. Two fingers. The replays
with that hand.
The replays just didn't make any sense. That must have hurt so bad. The replays just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I just don't know how it happened.
Oh my god.
I wonder if did they get caught? Did they get caught on something? And just bent? Oh.
Maybe it was Grayson's foot or something.
Yeah.
I think he slid under his own hand or something like that.
Oh, I wonder if he got caught on the floor. Ugh.
Oh
yeah.
4 to 6 weeks though. That's shorter than I expected.
Yeah. Bucks have to hope that's postseason for Miami. That's for
it should be postseason.
That's postseason for most teams, but you would sure think so. Any other Javon thoughts, or should we move on?
Let's move on.
Jordan, pick a player that's left. There's like 4 of them.
Joe?
No, we haven't talked Joe.
That's what I was going to go to next.
I mean, first Bucks playoff game, can't really be all that disappointed with what he got. I don't know. It's very like middle of the road, but he hit 3 of 7 from 3. I mean, the fact that you're a third of the Bucks 3-pointers is kind of beneficial. But other than that, we didn't really see him on the ball that often. I think it was more of just spacing Joe. Stupid foul that kind of just always seems to come at the worst times when the Bucks are down big. Defensively, I thought he competed well. Was on Jimmy to start his first couple of minutes, and it was one of the few misses that Jimmy had, so we'll take it, but I don't know if that's a recipe for success moving forward. I don't know, kind of what I expected from Joe, but obviously room for improvement.
I don't like that he wasn't on the ball. I honestly think it's just a waste of Ingles.
It's a waste of what he should be, and that is another shot creator.
Yeah, he shot well, which was good, and he has for a lot of the season now. But especially, if he's going to be out there, I mean, Khris is playing. I mean, his and Chris's minutes, I don't know how much they actually played together. If you add up their minutes, it's 48. So they had coverage the whole game. Drew's going to handle the ball some, of course, but get Drew a couple possessions off. Let Ingles handle. I mean, we talked about how often the Ingles-Lopez pick and roll and how successful that was. They maybe ran it once. I just don't think they got enough out of him in his minutes. It's nice that he can space the floor. It's useful. And I agree, Jordan. He did give up a pretty tough hand one to Jimmy and the dumb foul late in the game as well. But I thought, he wasn't a glaring weakness. Maybe he would be if he had played more, but regardless. But put the ball in his hands. I think, even with the good shooting, that's his biggest benefit to the Bucks is being able to handle and not putting it in his hands. It just seems like not getting the most out of him at all.
I mean, that it's not even just that. It's obviously you don't have Giannis. Bobby is kind of room for improvement for his as like a roller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's how you unlock Brook. That's how you just unlock easy points. Like that part of why Brook has had such a resurgence this year, especially offensively, despite the uptick in 3-point shooting. They've used him as a vertical threat.
Yeah.
Just rolling to the rim. Like when we talk, I know big part of our playback and a lot of our people that tuned in and all that stuff, they were talking about like the offense is just like putting up shots like early in the shot clock. It's not really getting people moving. Very Bucks like game one.
Bad Bucks, yeah.
Bad, but yeah, exactly. Like this is early Bud years of just how their offense would be. But if you want to make things easier, put guys on the ball, put guys rolling. It just kind of just simplifies things in ways that we know the Bucks can do, which is what makes this game a little bit frustrating, obviously. But yeah, I mean, to get really unlocked, it's not just unlocking Joe, it unlocks the Bucks offense in so many different ways. And guys like Drew, I think, could help for it too, instead of just putting him on the ball and kind of carrying such a heavy workload on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, and I wonder if Joe's handling more and setting guys up instead of some of these early shot clock threes, maybe you can break out of that 3-point shooting funk a little bit. And, I mean, that could have totally changed the game. So I think Ingles usually equals a healthier offense for the Bucks because he is such a distributor, and he can't do that if he doesn't have the ball, though. So definitely think got to give him the ball in his minutes. We know the defense is not going to be lights out, spectacular, but it's worth playing him a bit just to get things moving, and they just didn't really give him the chance.
It was just tough. Again, these are all things to improve upon in game two.
Yep.
Like this is why it's fun. This is why NBA playoff series are fun. Like the
so fun.
The chess match.
So fun.
They are.
Nice as thrilled.
Yeah.
Are you not entertained?
I'm titillated, Rohan. I'm absolutely titillated. Let's talk about Crowder.
Big titillated tie.
Okay. I don't want to end on a bad note. Very bad Bucks playoff debut for Jay Crowder. Just nothing really good about it. I don't think Bud coached a good game. I talked about, before. I think you're a team that plays random, and I'm not using that as a derogatory thing like some people do. They just do. That's how they play offense. And Giannis going down just throws you into a lot of flux, and they didn't bounce back from it very well until the second half when they did score a little bit more frequently. But Crowder not playing a ton, I would not say is one of the Bud things to be upset about from this game. I think not getting Brook the ball was much more frustrating and much more obvious, even with Giannis playing. Crowder's minutes getting cut. He only played less than 12, lowest in the team. He just didn't play well. He's 1 for 5 from the field. He made his only 2, missed 4 threes, him and everybody else. 1 assist, I think, no rebounds, 1 turnover and 2 fouls. Yeah, 1 turnover and 2 fouls. Just was getting beat defensively. Just took a ton of shots. I mean, he took 5 shots in 11 minutes. That's more than Wes or Javon took. We'll talk about Wes next. And like double the minutes for Javon. I don't know. It just didn't look good. I'm hoping he's able to just bounce back the next game. I don't really have a reason specifically for why, but just weird considering just felt like he fit so well and just plugged so many holes and just kind of had the opposite impact and limited run in this game.
Yeah, I mean, with all the Heat's wings, I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to be stopping Jimmy Butler tonight based on how he was playing, but didn't really provide any resistance there. Lost, I think it was Caleb Martin helping too much towards the rim, and Caleb Martin got free for a corner 3 that pushed the Heat lead like late in the 4th. Yeah, really disappointing. Really disappointing. I don't know. It makes that part of the equation that much harder because, I know people were very upset with seeing Wes come out that early, rotationally, and the way he was playing lately, and
he had it.
He had it. That's the thing. I don't know. The Crowder
was zippy.
Is very zippy. Crowder's gonna be a very dilemma because he ended those last 2 games where no one else really played, but he looked pretty good. It was like, okay, I think we're kind of past like just the maintenance part of like why they have been kind of patient with him, and then you see like a game like today, and it's like, okay, like I don't know, like not to keep comparing him to PJ, but PJ had his struggles and stuff like that, but physically out there, like I felt like he was still like really giving them something. Crowder just seems like a step slow a lot, and that is a little concerning.
He had a week off and was having flashbacks to his trade request days where he's just locked in the gym.
Let me out!
He logged less than 4 minutes in the second half. And the only stat was a foul in that time. So just really not an event. I wondered if we were going to see Pat late in this game. Pat didn't play,
nope.
Which is a trend we saw in the Boston game and the Philly game. Pat was not in the rotation. That is carried over. You probably just don't want to, I guess, diverge from the plan too much, but
you can't just throw everything out there in the end of game 1.
I wouldn't have. I'm giving him a chance. I think the last couple games we saw him, he looked decent.
I mean, that's fair. I'm all for giving Pat a chance. It's just like you can't just say, "Oh, this isn't working. Let's go to this." Just in the middle of a game, like it doesn't really work that way.
I don't know. It's a tough one. They're already playing very deep.
Let's get some TDA action.
See, you lost your credibility. I won the argument now. I just, I don't know. I get why Pat was excised from the rotation, and I didn't disagree with the decision. He just didn't play well for most of the year. But also, I do think at a certain level, especially with Giannis out, you do have an opportunity to then play someone else a bit. And giving him a chance could really pay off because he was great in the last 2 playoff runs. And, I don't think he's just done now, right? And I do think I would have liked to see him just get a chance to play a little bit and just see what he can contribute. I think he's a guy who stays ready. And I hope it's not a playoff run where he just never really plays at all because I get it. If the rotation dictates that, it dictates that. I would like him to get a chance at some point, though. And, you might still have a really useful player for this playoff run there. You don't want to just lose that. I mean, again, this is the issue of being deep. We've talked about it a bunch, but we'll see if we see any Pat in game 2, maybe dependent on how Giannis plays, and, of course, if Crowder can bounce back as well. Last bench player, Wesley Matthews. We were perturbed. The playback was quite perturbed. And then West comes in, hits 2 of his 4 shots, all threes, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, no turnovers, 6 points. Kind of a classic zippy Wes Matthews game. Really gave some. I mean, Bobby brings a ton of energy. Khris did with the shots, but Wes was right up there in big energy plays on both ends. I don't think he's going anywhere in the rotation, man. He's so reliable, and he came through. I just feel like he finds ways to come through in these playoff moments when they give him a chance, and you can't really blame Bud for playing him. He played 17 minutes. It wasn't like he played 40. But I thought those 17 minutes after like the first 2 were largely quite good.
Yeah, he was the savvy vet we expect him to be, and he went out and did Wes Matthews things. Like he didn't really make too many mistakes. He was out there playing physical defense. He was hitting his shots. He was actually he was active. He was engaged. He was playing physically, which couldn't be said for a lot of the other Milwaukee Bucks. So I agree. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon, because if he's the guy playing like that, you got to play that guy. It'd be dumb not to.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of, I don't know. It feels like a house of cards sometimes with Wesley, or at least I feel like, I should rephrase that. Feel like how people perceive Wesley getting into the game feels like a house of cards, where it's like, okay, does he have it this night? You kind of judge it very early. And yeah, I think he got off to a slow start. I don't know if defensively, or I can't remember if it was just missing a shot or 2, but on the whole, the minutes that he was giving, yeah, they were outscored. I think it was by 13 or whatever it was. He was a minus 13. It's kind of more in rhythm with how this game went, and you're going to have to give some resistance to guys like Jimmy Butler and try to slow down any of the Heat shooters that came alive today. And if the Bucks are going to play small, that opens the door for more guys like Wesley and possibly, I would assume, Crowder, but obviously has to pick it up, to play out there and really stay attached with guys and just give them hell. That's basically what West does, and it's, I don't know. I liked what he gave him, and surely, and he, I mean, I've been scouring and got some post game stuff. So said after the game, this courtesy of Eric Dame from The Athletic, got to get some stops. Can't let the Heat go 60% from the field and expect to win. That right there just sums it up.
I mean, yeah, he's right.
Yep.
Got to make more shots than the other team.
I mean, just on the whole, West, with that comment in mind, I know a lot of people are going to be frustrated with how the offense was as a whole. To me, it's the defense. It's Jimmy Butler is going to go off, but the things that they can control of...
You can control that, too, also.
They
to
can.
a certain
extent.
And they have. More than they did.
Certainly. And obviously Giannis looms large on how they line up with this, too. But Bam getting hot, they honestly let him really shoot those mid-rangers, and that is a very Bucks thing to do of okay, we'll let you prove it. You can't defend everything. But we know some of the shots that he had a lot of a runway to really get into his feet set and shoot some mid-rangers in the second half.
He did have the worst plus-minus in their starting 5. They won his minutes by 4. So,
which is interesting. And a lot of the time, too, that I don't, Newmark picked up on this, too. Rook was mirroring Bam's minutes for a large portion of it. That's very interesting that they were just +4 for it. But yeah,
he's pretty bad until he got hot. I'd say late third quarter. Before that, he just really couldn't hit anything. So, I would say the second half split's probably a lot different. But
it's just the stuff that they can clean up feels like it's very controllable, because it was very early on, and when Giannis was out there too, the transition defense is pretty terrible that first quarter. And then it just opens the floodgates for getting into the paint. And then when the Heat shooters are starting to get hot, it's okay, well, what can you really take away with it? All the things in rhythm, and all those things are in rhythm for the Heat's offense, and it's not really a lot.
Yeah. I think game 2, obviously if Giannis plays now, I don't know if this was included in any of the quotes you guys read, but I saw Bud said a lot will depend on how he wakes up and feels tomorrow. So maybe we'll learn something tomorrow. I would guess no definitive word, but who knows? A lot depends on that. But I think either way, whether Giannis is able to go for game 2 or not, 3-point variance you can't do anything about. I think the Bucks need to seek out better threes. I don't think a lot of the threes they took were all that good. They missed some good ones too, but they took a lot of bad threes. Get Brook a lot more involved offensively. And they just need to be better, honestly, defending the perimeter in general. I just think, I don't know if they're too comfortable usually having Brook back there or what, but just felt like, especially Jimmy, but even like Kevin Love had a drive. Like, Heat players were able to get to the rim too easily, and you just can't do that with no Brook and no Giannis. So they got to guard up a little bit more.
You can't get punked. You can't get punked. The Bucks got punked. That's all. Like, I don't know what else to say. The Miami Heat came in and they punked them.
You want a stat? This is I've never seen this before. Do you know what the worst Heat field goal percentage was by an individual player? The worst one.
Oh God, it's gonna be like 50%
tonight.
Worst one, 56.
Rohan was right, 50%. Duncan Robinson 1 for 2.
Outside of him, all the way out of here. That's ridiculous.
Max Drew 60%, Jimmy 55, Bam 55, Hero 55, Gabe Vincent 83%, Caleb Martin 71, Lowry 100, Kevin Love 55%.
Meanwhile, the Bucks have 4 guys below 50%.
Yeah,
and
one guy at 50%.
Yeah,
2 guys at 50%. Excuse me.
I have some encouraging stats.
Okay.
Mike Prada of The Athletic. Friendly reminder, Game 1 winners are just 17-13 in the 30 playoff series since the bubble. Over the last 2 years, this is a tweet thread. Over the last 2 years, 11 road teams won Game 1 of a series. Only 3 of those 11 went on to win the series. That's including the Bucks last year against.
Yeah.
2021 Hawks versus Nets, 2021 Hawks versus Philly, 2022 Warriors versus Grizzlies.
Didn't the Hawks do that? Oh, they won the series. The Hawks did that against the Bucks too. They lost that series. Yeah, I think.
Jamal Collier of ESPN. The Bucks are now just 5-7 in game 1s under Bud, but they've rebounded to win 5 of their last 6 series where they lost the series opener, including the last 3 rounds of their 2021 title run.
Goodness. Maybe stop doing it, though.
I would recommend it.
Why do you do this to me?
It's funny that Bud has the rap of not adjusting enough mid-series, and he's actually worse at preparing. The adjustments have been great. They're much better after game 1 in the series.
He's much better at adjusting.
Yeah, that's the pre-adjustment period is the difficulty we should work on. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I think certainly game 2. I think game 2 winnable either way.
What are the vibes going into game 2?
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be unless there's bad news with Giannis. I think the vibes will be strong. And not even just him sitting. Strong again, unless we hear Giannis has bad back-itis. I'm gonna feel good. I think they're gonna win the game. I said they would sweep for a reason. I mean, they're better. They're just a better team. A lot went right for Miami. A ton went wrong for the Bucks. It's just basketball. It happens sometimes. That's why it's a good playoff system that isn't 1-game series. It's 7-game series. So come out in game 2, defend better. Hopefully, the shooting balances out, and I think they can easily win. And then it's just taking 1 in Miami, and you're back on track.
Jordan.
Yeah, I mean the Giannis thing is what it is. We all know that a lot of things hinge on Giannis' health and everything like that. But we know the Heat are probably not going to shoot as well as they did this game. I'm just putting that probably.
If they do, I don't know.
Then it's like
you might need to find a new podcast network. I don't know if we're going to make it through another 60% shooting. I don't know.
There are some things like my biggest question is: are we going to see a game as good as Khris had again?
I'm going to say not in game 2, but in the series and in the playoffs, I'm going to say yes. I buy Khris. I trust Khris.
I always trust Khris.
I think Well, I trust him when he's out there. That's the big thing is, I think the week really helped him. I think the games off or the days off coming up, between not just this game but games 2 to 3, I think that'll be helpful for him. But it's just more of like, okay, what's going to be all the things that went well for the Bucks? How can it repeat that? And obviously, Khris is probably the biggest one. Bobby is what he'll bring a scoring punch to them, and hopefully, better games from Drew, at least offense or shooting the ball, seeing better things from Brook, figure out how that wing rotation is going to look and calling the right number and hoping it works out for them. I think there's things to be encouraged by, but obviously, everything like this whole season, everything that's facing the Bucks, like to bring this down, is always existential. It's about who's going to be on the floor at the right time, and obviously Giannis is the next person in line that this hovers around. So yeah, I'm quietly confident, but it sucks feeling these sucker punches year after year now.
I guess this is just life with a big three for this many years in a row. I mean, think about the Warriors and where they must be at with Klay's health. He's been pretty resilient this year, but certainly last year it was pretty much a question mark. It worked out for him. So, hopefully a similar thing can happen in Milwaukee this year. Where are you at, Rohan?
Yeah, you're asking us how you doing, Rohan.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
We'll take it.
That's where the vibes are at right now. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hoping Giannis, hopefully the big fella's butt is all good.
Yeah.
And
that was tailbone.
Where do you think the tailbone is, Jordan?
Reggie Miller. That's
Where do you think your coccyx is?
Oh, wrap it up, Rohan.
That's what it's called.
Wrap it up. You know what you're doing. No.
That's literally what it's called.
All right,
Yeah.
Sure it is.
I've heard the word, but it just was. It's a very.
I've heard the word too. I've been on. Hey.
I've been on WebMD.
Oh man, but I'm cautiously optimistic. A lot of things can go well for the Bucks. You just have to.
Will they? Who knows?
Exactly.
Find out next time.
That's a wait and see. And the Heat's shooting should calm down a bit, and it's just, I don't know. It's tough. It's a gut punch,
Oh yeah.
You talk so much shit,
Yep.
and you just come out here and you get punked, and it's not happening, Jordan. I saw your gear.
I know. Next thing you know, Ashton Kutcher with his trucker hat on comes out of the curtain. He's like, "You just got punked."
Yeah.
And we're like, "No, this is not fun."
No, this sucks.
Rohan has no idea.
Rohan was a show. That was the whole show, pretty much.
MTV. There was a channel called MTV. It was really big for a long time, and they had a hidden prank show called Punked that Ashton Kutcher hosted. This is when he was on That 70s Show, the first one, or the only one.
Yeah, that's something else show. That 80s show.
That 90s?
Yeah.
Or 90s show, yeah.
And he would prank celebrities.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of fun.
Yeah. We just saw the latest edition of it, Bucks Heat.
Yeah.
Regardless, a lot can go right for the Bucks, and some stuff needs to go wrong for the Miami Heat. And I think this can still be a gentleman's sweep. I think the Bucks should still win this series pretty easily, but it's just tough to lose game one.
Yeah, obviously
really
just have to win game two now. It's the
game two's a must win.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually think they could win the series if they lost it, but let's not go there. It gets dire if that happens. Can't let
it is a must win. It is a must win. The Heat are playing with house money, and now it's a must win for the Bucks. It's a tough position to be in, but this is where they are. And game two is on Wednesday, so we'll
8 p.m. Central.
Bring it, Pfizer.
NBA
I saw
TV.
people sleeping at a Bucks game.
Oh, here it
at
is.
6:30. It's 6:30, and you're falling like.
Yeah. Kevin Harlan didn't like
disappointing.
it. Kevin Harlan didn't
Yeah.
like it one bit. I didn't either.
And I'm not one of these people that like people spend their hard-earned money, and it's certainly more expensive to go to a playoff game and enjoy yourself with all their high-priced food, beer, drinks, whatever it is. Just start bringing it. Cluckeries. Like what
No Chick-fil-A today. Maybe that's why the energy was low.
Yeah, I saw some sad people in chicken costumes, and it's like, yeah, that's gonna happen when you get punked. But like the fans at the game, it was wildly disappointing. You could tell. I watched a lot of basketball.
Mm.
You could tell when it's fans like getting pumped up and everything like that. And yeah, I know the Bucks are down 40, however many minutes it was, but like you could differentiate fans actually getting pumped up versus crowd noise played through the PA and Jumbotron and stuff like that. And it was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You're going to a playoff game. Like, pick it up. That's my plea to you. To quote the great words of Mike Dunlap, bring the heat, Bucks Nation. God damn it.
Did he say God damn it on there too?
No, that was me just
Maybe he will tonight after that.
I'm waiting for his tweets.
Is that what it's like to be on the other side of a rant?
Yeah. There you go. I had to do it since Rohan was doing it.
We had to have a rant.
It just happens.
Job Morant. That's what they call me.
Oh, I get
Nice.
it. Nice. I was like, why are they calling you John Murray? You pulling guns on IG Live?
Okay.
Whoa.
Jordan doesn't know how to operate IG Live, and I think we've reached the end of the podcast.
I don't even have a gun.
Oh man. Okay, I think we've officially reached the part where we need to wrap it up. We said that we're going to keep it short. We
didn't. That's GSPN for you. It's too much love of content.
Yeah, we love the content. We love talking about it. It just turns into therapy for us. But thank you for listening to this episode of GSPN. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast platform of choice, or watching on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Check out all of our pods. You can listen to baseball stuff at Talk of the Tundra, apparently. And according to the time.
Yeah, I'm going to hear about that one in 4 years when Adam pulls up this podcast.
And in 2 minutes when Andrew hears it.
Yep.
No, but seriously, listen to Cruising for Bruising for all your baseball needs, Talk the Tundra for all your football needs. Both Eurostep and Win 6 are here on this very feed, and it's a good time all here at GSPN. Make sure you check out all the pods. All the links are at gspn.info, including our playback link and the entrance into our Discord, Substack, merch link. Whatever you need, you can find at gspn.info. Pod random, and we will talk to you next time.